last summer, I was in Jamaica. I mentioned this yesterday. However, last summer, I didn't mention in the second half of the summer, when things are finally going good, when finally I was talking about Jesus and having these biblical conversations with these people and doing what I've been hoping to do, I got bit by a mosquito. Alright, a mosquito. I ended up in a bed for 5 days with a fever of 102 in Jamaica, where it's hot and humid. Our air conditioner is that tiny little wall unit that we have here. That was what I had. And it was pumping non-stop because I'm laying there just sweating day after day after day. I lost 15 pounds in 5 days because I couldn't eat. I have this nasty red rash growing all over my body. And so finally on Monday I got to go to a doctor. 5 days later, because that's kind of how it works when you're in a small town with no hospital. We drive to this doctor, and I'm sitting there, just waiting. They've taken some tests, and they call me in, so I'm sitting there because I have no energy to stand because I can't take any food whatsoever. So I'm sitting there listening to them because I'm an eavesdropper. Always an eavesdropping. And I'm listening, and I'm hearing them, well, he doesn't have clothes here. How's he going to stay here if he didn't bring it? And the guy said, well, we didn't know this was the case, so I can call the boss, I guess. So I'm realizing I'm staying at this hospital in a different country, not even in the town that I'm in a place that I know nobody. I don't have a cell phone that works, and my mom and dad have just been informed the day before that, okay, by the way, I'm sick. Kind of left that out for a while there. I spent 4 days and 3 nights in a hospital because my platelet count was dropping so low that they were afraid I would start internally bleeding. That red stuff was my blood. I was sick, really sick. So I'm now laying in a hospital, so frustrated at the God who brought me to Jamaica. So angry. Why would a good God put me here? Well, this good God, what thorn is this? People, I was sitting there, I wasn't even bothering to think about this passage or bothering to open my Bible. My mom keeps calling me every day and is like, hey Neal, a lot of people are praying for you. And I'm like, yeah, cool. But that's not working. On Wednesday, I was told I was going to get to leave, and the doctor walked in on Wednesday and told me I'm staying another night because my platelets haven't bounced. But my perception of God being good was God is good because ice cream was snacked that night. God was good because, I don't know, insert whatever random little thing that day. I didn't win the soccer tournament, but say I won the soccer tournament. God is good because I won the soccer tournament. God is good because of insert petty thing. No. I left that hospital because God is good that I'm forgiven. That God is good because he came to live a life as a human, to live life as I did, and to die for me, and to defeat that for me that I may have life in him. That is why God is good. Yeah, if I'm standing in this little weak power that God is good because I have ice cream, that's no power to stand in when you have a giant thorn in your side. But when you're standing in the power of a resurrected God, of a God who loves you so immensely much that he would suffer his own wrath for you, and that he would then seek to have a relationship with you, when you're standing in that power, it is very different. And it is very powerful. I mentioned a couple of failures from yesterday. Again, I can look back on those times where I let fear control my life, where I sought to control my life myself, and I can see that God has made me a bolder person, a person who's not as afraid to just start talking about Jesus. A person who's not afraid to walk into some place random that I don't know anybody. started because I started looking at my weaknesses, and rather looking at them as weaknesses, looking at them as opportunities for God to use me, and how God was molding me through that. What was God doing with the fact that I'm short? What was his purpose in that? Well, now, when I see others being mocked, I know what that feels like. Yet in high school, I ended up sitting with all the popular kids, whatever that meant. I just sat with them. I think they liked me because I was really good at ping pong and the ping pong club. I'm not really sure. But for whatever reason, I sat with them. I mean, it was nice, I guess. They didn't mock me. I saw, though, the brokenness of that side, but I've seen the brokenness of the other side. I know what it means to be singled out and to have an inadequacy shoved in my face. But now, I'm okay with that. Now I know that God's created me to be me, to be who I am. God doesn't have these weaknesses, these thorns. He deliberately gave, like Paul doesn't say, oh, I had this random thorn on my flesh. He gave it to him. That man was born blind for God's glory. Our weaknesses and failures don't have to be things that control us and that live our life, but instead they're things that God is using in us, as I talked about yesterday with our personalities, again, using them to be a part of our story for Him, for His glory. When we recognize those weaknesses and inabilities as weaknesses, and we do as Paul does, where we boast in them. I am short. I was sick. When I was in RA, I have a resident who, not like you would expect, like the resident who's always breaking the rules. I was okay with that. It was a challenge, it was fun, whatever. Mine, and you can ask the answers, I scored very low on showing mercy and very low at sympathizing with others sometimes and being giving and encouraging. Mine was having a resident who was going through some of the toughest stuff and sometimes needed to have conversations with that weren't the easiest conversations, and trying to find a way to be very merciful in them. But when I went into that conversation, it's so much prayer because I was freaking out. How do I tell this guy something without just completely demoralizing him? When I boasted in my weakness and recognized it, not as what controlled me,